Moses in her time, Tubman is best known for her role as a conductor on the Underground Railroad. Her secret journeys into the slave states to rescue women, men, and children have immortalized her in the minds of Americans for 130 years. These accomplishments, however, have also served to create a mythological image of a woman about whose actual life we know little. Though she is one of the most famous women in our nation's history, most of us have come to know the narrative of her life through biographies written for young people. In fact, the last adult biography of Tubman, Earl Conrad's Harriet Tubman, was published in 1943. In 1863, Franklin B. Sanborn, editor of the Boston Commonwealth, an anti-slavery newspaper, published the first biographical sketch of Harriet Tubman. "The true romance of America," he wrote, "could be found in the story of the fugitive slaves." Setting the stage for future biographies, Sanborn claimed that the drama of Tubman's life story had the power to shake the nation that so long was deaf to her cries. 2 years later, Edna Dow Cheney added to Sanborn's sketch, describing Tubman as probably the most remarkable woman of this age, who has performed more wonderful deeds by the native power of her own spirit than any other. A more detailed biography by Sarah Bradford appeared a few years later. Released in 1869 as Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman, it set Tubman's early life permanently in the historical record. By the time William Still's famous 1871 documentary volume, The Underground Railroad, was published, Tubman's status as a heroine without equal was established. In elementary schools across America, children now learn of Tubman's heroic deeds. Relegated to the dustbin of history before the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, Tubman reemerged during the 1970s and 1980s as one of the 10 most famous Americans in history, after Betsy Ross, number 1, and Paul Revere, number 2. Harriet Tubman has become part of the core American historical memory. But incredibly, what children learn about Tubman is largely all that we as a nation know of her. The reality of Harriet Tubman's life is far more compelling than the partly fictionalized biography so familiar to school children. Why have we been satisfied with the mythical Tubman, and why has her biography remained within the province of children's literature? Although the myths are rooted in actual achievements and serve to enhance the legend of Harriet Tubman, they do so at the expense of her real life story. The true facts of Tubman's long life, including her years under slavery, her family life, her profound spirituality, her accomplishments as a freedom fighter, from her Underground Railroad days to her Civil War exploits, and then later her suffrage and community activism, reveal a remarkably powerful and influential life endured during some of the darkest days in American history. Motivated by a deep love of family, Tubman struggled against great odds to bring scores of relatives and friends to freedom in the North. Necessarily shrouded in secrecy at the time, the details of her escape missions have been buried in the historical record for generations. There is, therefore, a need to rediscover Harriet Tubman, to separate reality from myth, and to reconstruct a richer and far more accurate historical account of her life. Harriet Tubman was born Araminta Minty Ross on the plantation of Anthony Thompson, south of Madison in the Parsons Creek district of Dorchester County, Maryland, probably in late February or early March 1822. She was the 5th of 9 children born to Harriet, Rit Green, and Ben Ross. Both slaves, Rit and Ben were owned by different masters. Rit was enslaved by Edward Brodess, Anthony Thompson's stepson, and Ben, a highly skilled timberman, belonged to Thompson, who was a wealthy and prominent landowner. The Ross family's relatively stable life on Thompson's plantation came to an abrupt end sometime in late 1823 or 1824, when Edward Brodess claimed ownership of Rit and her children through the estate of his mother, Mary Pattison Brodess Thompson. He took Rit and her 5 children, including Minty, away from Ben to his own farm in Bucktown, 10 miles to the east. Brodess often hired Minty out to temporary masters, some of whom were cruel and negligent.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.